All right, let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. First up, approval of the minutes last month. Councilmember Jurinsky or Councilmember Lawson, any changes on the minutes? Otherwise, are you okay approving those?
I'm okay with approving them.
I approve.
All right. Next up, Bill Levine, February 2024 sales tax chart.
This is Greg Hayes in the budget office. I decided that Bill can only give you the bad news. And if there's good news, then I get to do this presentation. So February of 2024 was actually good, was up 13.5%. That's good news for us. Up in most sectors, electronics, department stores, grocery stores, building materials, all up. The ones that have been down recently were still down: clothing accessories, furniture, home furnishings. We did get a couple of big checks in what we call variable companies, typically not inside our top 200. A couple of IT companies, they gave us some money that helped out with that. The one number I want to point out there is look at the bottom. It did erase the deficit from January. We're now at a positive 1.5%. Our projections 4% growth. And so we've got a little bit of work, but at least we went in the right direction that time. Any questions about sales tax?
Councilmember Lawson or Jurinsky, any questions?
None.
None for me.
All right, thanks, Greg. Appreciate it. All right, item 4A, 2024 spring supplemental budget request. Jackie Amon.
Hi, I'm Jackie, budget program manager in the budget office. We have quite a few items in this spring's.
Somebody needs to be on mute. George.
Thank you.
If everybody could please mute their, sorry.
That's okay. At least it's not me this time. Okay, we do have quite a few items in this spring supplemental, which covers 2 years with final adjustments for 2023 and initial adjustments for 2024. I'll give you a high-level overview of each year, and then department representatives and I can address any specific questions you have. For 2023, all significant items in the general fund were either projected and included in the 2024 budget plan or are technical with no impact to the fund balance. In some cases, you may have noticed that the supplemental amount required turned out to be more than projected, but I wanted to let you know that these instances are more than offset by savings in other departments when you evaluate the fund bottom line. For other funds, most items are technical. Others were projected or reviewed by council or council committee. There's a couple of fund results I want to point out. In the development review fund, an overage was projected, although the actual amount turned out to be higher than expected. Revenue in the fund also outpaced expectations, resulting in an increase to the fund balance, which was a good thing. In the risk fund, an overage was projected, although the final expenditures for risk claims and the assumption for the actuarial adjustment were more than projected. This also caused the transfer in from the general fund to be more than projected in order to maintain a working fund balance. Moving on to 2024, significant items to note in the general fund include ongoing requests to add 11 FTE to various departments. These FTE will add about $800,000 in ongoing appropriation to the general fund. I'd like to point out that 3 of the FTE are in housing and community services and do include ongoing offsets, resulting in a $0 impact to the fund. 2 of the FTE are for fleet technicians that will be added to the fleet fund, but will be charged back to the general fund and the water and wastewater funds via a fleet interfund charge. There are 2 other ongoing supplementals I want to note. One is in the general fund for $939,000 in the information technology department to cover added costs. First, to note, late in 2023, IT implemented the new IT Live help desk to personalize service, which was not included in the 2024 budget. Additionally, budgeted annual increases for some contracts came in higher than assumed in the 2024 budget development. Year after year, IT contract increases continue to be a significant impact to the general fund base budget. I don't expect 2025 to be very different in that way. The other ongoing request is in the water fund for $1 million, and this is to continue to expand the rebate and incentive programs to help achieve water demand reductions. There are also several one-time technical items in various funds to appropriate grant funding, create transfer budgets by using existing appropriation, and to reappropriate funds that were not able to be spent in 2023 due to timing. These items have no impact to the fund balance. And with that, we're here to answer any of your specific questions if you have any.
I,
Oh, go ahead, Councilmember Jurinsky.
yeah, I just have one question. And Jackie, I don't know, if you're able to answer this for me or not, or if this is a question directly for pros, but what is going on with our golf courses?
Yeah, that is definitely a question for Brooke. Are you
Okay.
here, Brooke?
No, this is Tom Tully, Business
Okay,
Services
Tom.
Manager. Regarding the golf, could you be more specific? I'm not sure I understand the question.
Well, it looks like, well, I see a positive 67,800 and then I see a negative 60,800. And so did we have to supplement our golf courses 67,800?
I can answer that one. That had to do with, Greg, help me if I've got this wrong, but it had to do with transferring wage increases from for the compensation adjustments.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's totally compensation related.
It's very technical.
Okay. Okay. That's all I needed. Thank you.
Okay, good.
Councilmember Jurinsky, any further questions right now?
No, I'm good.
Councilmember Lawson?
Yes, Councilmember Gardner, I just had one question. Can someone just tell me underneath the parking mobility fund, is that for when we're requesting for parking to go out to certain sites and look into those? What, it seems like that's a little bit, I know that I get, if it's regarding what I'm thinking, or maybe I could be wrong. I know that I get quite a few requests from having parking go out into my ward and look at this. So can someone just explain to what this is and why it's at net appropriation of 7,600, but then the revenue offset is 57, and then the fund balance is still 5362. So just trying to get a little bit more clarification on that one.
Right, Ellie or Greg, are you able to address that one?
Hi, Councilmember Lawson. I'm Ellie Watson, Business Services Manager in Public Works. The Parking and Mobility Fund needed a little bit of additional fund balance to cover for last year. We increased our enforcement, increased to some after hours, and also had some vacancies. So we had some missing enforcement officers and then new enforcement officers. So the citation revenue didn't quite keep up with expenses. So we did supplement that fund to a small extent. It also had a little bit of an existing fund balance. So what you're seeing with the two appropriations, one is helping with the fund balance. The other is adjusting just on a budgetary basis.
Okay.
Because we had
Ellie.
more room in the budget than we did in the fund balance. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
That's clear. So I appreciate that explanation. Thank you, Councilmember Gardner.
I see a
you're
hand
welcome.
up, but I'm not sure who it is. Oh,
It's the mayor.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mayor Kaufman.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can you go over I think it was the risk fund, if that's what it's called. I can't remember what it's called, but risk, and how much we're over the budget on that?
Absolutely.
Go for it, Greg.
I think I can speak to that.
Okay.
We did have some negative risk news, especially in terms of general claims, in terms of what's called the incurred but not reported, the IBNR charge, which is an actuary coming in and saying, you're going to have to pay for these claims you don't know that you've got yet. All of that came in over budget. We projected it coming in over budget, but some year-end things and some last-minute payments that happened in the very end of the year drove us over that amount by about 2.3 million. And that is something that we had to work on last year, and we're going to have to work on for the 2025 budget as well. Is catching up with extremely high rising costs. The risk fund charges have actually, or the total payments that we put into the risk fund has actually gone up 100% since 2019.
Okay. This doesn't include things that are covered by insurance, right?
There may be some insurance proceeds that are part of it that would affect the
proceeds.
revenues. We might get a check in to cover a portion of it. This would have been net of any revenue and expenditure.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I had a similar line of questioning to the mayor, and you answered part of it, Greg. Further question, have we continued to see significant increases in the cost of our insurance due to claims that we've paid out? I know that was a topic we got into in public safety, gosh, 3 or 4 years ago.
Yep.
Is that continued?
Yes, absolutely. I would say that we've been up in all sectors of the rec fund or of the risk fund. Not only the claims, not only what we have to pay every year for the annual, that's gone up a lot. The IBNR has doubled and continues to go up. It's kind of hitting us all over the place. Workman's comp.
Okay. Next question I had was the request for 5 FTE library positions. Just curious what those positions are. I could be mistaken, but I seem to remember in the past that hearing that we were having difficulty hiring library positions. And so just curious, are we going to even be able to hire or fill those positions? So just kind of wanted to get a little bit more context about what those are for.
So I can tell you that there are 2 librarians and 3 library assistants. If Laura is here, she may want to add to that, or Matt Kipp, if Matt is here. Or
I don't see
or,
either.
Ginger, is Ginger here from the library?
Ginger is not, but this is Joe McNeil. I'm the deputy director and I oversee the library. The good news is that actually we're having a great time filling library positions, and we've filled all of those.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I assume that the 425,000 is that that's a total compensation with benefits?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I don't think I have any additional questions right now. Council members, any additional questions, or Mayor, any additional questions on this? Okay, sounds like none. Both council members, are you okay with moving this forward to full council?
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Jackie. Let's see. Let me get back to my agenda. Up next, item 4B, Serenity Ridge Metropolitan District Number 1, request for dissolution. Chesarina Dancy.
Yep. Good afternoon. This is Chesarina Dancy. I'm the acting manager of the Office of Development Assistance. And this request is for a dissolution for Serenity Ridge Metropolitan District Number 1. This district has no debt and is not providing any services to taxpayers at this time. They've fulfilled their obligations. They have also provided an assignment and assumption agreement. So should any obligation appear in the future, which we don't believe there will, that obligation would transfer to District Number 2, which is not dissolving and will remain active.
Council members Lawson or Jurinsky, any questions? And are you both okay forwarding this to the full council?
Yes.
Great. Item 4C, Prairie Point Metro District service numbers 1 through 3 service plan amendments. Chesarina.
Yes, Prairie Point Metropolitan Districts 1 to 3 are requesting service plan amendments in order to add language to their service plan, which will authorize the imposition of assessments for repayments of bonds through a special improvement district, which would be established by the districts. In addition, these revisions include updates to the city's current model service plan, which is our standard policy for any type of revision that comes in.
Great. Council members Lawson or Jurinsky, any questions?
None for me.
And are you both okay moving it forward to the full council?
Yes.
Great. Thanks, Chesarina.
Thank you.
Item 4D, Aurora Animal Shelter Reimbursement Resolution. Teresa Sedmak.
Yes, good afternoon. I am here to introduce the reimbursement resolution for expenditures related to an animal shelter, a new animal shelter. I apologize for the wrong dates on the commentary. We were going to bring this last month and it did not get done. So the IRS requires that you or that any entity enter into a reimbursement resolution or official intent to reimburse itself such that it can reimburse itself from bond proceeds if they issue bonds for the project. So this is more of a housekeeping matter than anything else, but it will allow us to reimburse ourselves for engineering costs, design costs, and any preliminary costs on an animal shelter.
Council members Jurinsky or Lawson, questions?
I don't have any.
I do. I guess, so I didn't make much secret at the workshop that I'm not in favor of financing for the construction of a new animal shelter. What I'm hearing is that this is more of, I mean, you used the word housekeeping, Teresa, so this doesn't encumber us to finance or whatever, but I guess what is the purpose of us doing this before we've made that decision that that's how we're going to, that's the mechanism we're going to use to build it, I guess. I don't understand why we would do this now before we've made that decision.
Right, I hear you. You're saying we've got the cart before the horse, and I
Yeah.
am going to refer to Roberto if I can on that.
Okay.
And before you do that, I will just add in that, you know, as we do with other financings, the point of a reimbursement resolution is to make sure that any costs that we incur related to a financing, that we have the ability to be reimbursed once the financing is issued. So this does help us to reimburse ourselves for those costs and kind of, you know, make sure that the city can get the money back that it's investing into an asset.
Okay.
Councilmember Gardner, Roberto Venegas, Deputy City Manager. So as Teresa mentioned, housekeeping is, I think, the term she used. The sequencing of when this happens is really up to the council, but you're right. If we didn't want to have this done, we don't necessarily have to do it in this order, but it is more of an effort to kind of, you know, demonstrate the intent of the city to move forward on this. It doesn't lock us into any financing. It doesn't say we are issuing COPs. It does not bind us to any particular next step, but it is, as Terry mentioned, a mechanism that signals the city and their reimbursement schedule that we'll undertake should we go forward with the COPs for an animal shelter construction. But the sequence of when that happens, and in fact, if we move that forward now or move that forward in tandem with a final decision to move forward for the construction, is up to the council.
Okay, got it. Council members Jurinsky and Lawson, any objection to moving this forward?
I don't have any objection.
I don't either.
So, I mean, I'm obviously not going to support issuing debt for the construction. I think this is, these are two separate questions, right? And so I obviously am going to be in the minority. So we're going to issue debt, I'm sure, for building that. And so we need to be able to do this to be able to reimburse ourselves. So I will support this, moving this forward. But you know, I'm not going to support issuing debt. So yeah, I'm okay moving this forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, item 4E, disparity study update, Bryn Fillinger.
Yes, I'm here and let me share my screen.
Or you can use the slides that Candace has up if you'd like, Bren.
Oh, she has it up. Okay,
Yeah,
very good. Okay,
Just let her know when to advance.
okay, thank you very much. So, Candace, next slide. The disparity study is a analysis of the availability and utilization of MWBE in contracting and purchasing, and Griffin and Strong was the consultant selected as a result of a competitive request for proposal process. They did demonstrate that their team had experienced staff, and they demonstrated strong experience in completing these studies for cities the same size as Aurora. Okay, next slide. We did receive a draft disparity study, and we are in the process of finalizing the report. We have not done a disparity study until now. And we are very grateful that we had the opportunity to hear from businesses in our community. Next slide. And purchasing will continue to build on our outreach to make sure businesses know how to do business with the city of Aurora and understand our procurement process, and how to engage if they are interested in our opportunities. They did say in their report that the private sector is also presenting barriers to MWBEs. However, that's not in our purview. Next slide. General takeaways is that there are general perceptions that disparities exist. It did not present in-depth data gathering and analysis to support those perceptions. So this study is just one tool that Aurora can use to improve our outreach and education efforts. Next slide. And we will continue our efforts to educate through additional outreach efforts regarding opportunities to do business with the city. In addition, we will work with the communications department to better notify businesses by increasing outreach and providing additional educational opportunities, not only to help Aurora businesses, but MWB businesses. And we believe this will build stronger relationships with those businesses. Next slide. And the efforts will include quarterly, we're going to initiate quarterly how to do business with Aurora seminars, and improve on our website, having a guide on doing business with Aurora, additional contractor business opportunity fairs, and project specific networking events, and vendor registration tutorial for BidNet on our website.
And just to wrap up, this was an informational item to give a report back on our disparity study efforts. And now that it's near completion and going to be finalized, we just wanted to come back to M&F and give you an update. And with that, we'd be happy to answer any questions.
Council members Lawson or Jurinsky?
Councilmember Gardner, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Can you tell me, and I've been on the council for 8 years, what happened to the events that we used to have? And I think when we used to have these events, it just seemed like on procurement, kind of with, minority and women-owned businesses. I think it was just all businesses all together. And
Right.
whatever happened to that? Why did that stop? Those kind of things. Is it because of the disparity study? Because I can't remember.
No, we have not stopped those events. In fact, we're not always the initiator of the events. We do have a list of the various events that we've been part of. Were recently included in the packet. And you can, I don't know, Candace, if you can scroll down a little further. But sorry, in particular, we know that there is lots of interest to be part of any competition with the city of Aurora. I think, the more competition we get, the better it is for the city. There you go. Current and planned outreach efforts by the Purchasing Services Division. So we've really had quite a few different events over the past few years. Yes, there was some slowdown with COVID. We've re-engaged, but in general, as we hear of events, we are participants in the region, and when they're very specific and they invite us, we're definitely there. So we're not going to stop these efforts. We're going to continue them on. And then in addition to that, we're going to add some enhancements to our outreach efforts.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember
Exactly.
Gardner.
Councilmember Jurinsky, any questions?
No.
All right, I don't have any questions either. Thank you, staff. I know this has been years of work, and appreciate your efforts on this. I know procurement can be a challenging, and so really appreciate your work to make sure we're engaging all the businesses in our community, and making sure that at the end of the day, ultimately the goal is to provide good value back to our taxpayers. And so really appreciate our staff's work, finance and others that have worked on this over the years, ensuring that that's what we're doing, is having a competitive procurement process and providing value back to our taxpayers. So really appreciate your work on this, and thank you for the update. And I think that's it on that one, because that was informational only, correct, Terry?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. That looks like it was the last item. All right. Miscellaneous matters. Next meeting is scheduled for April 23rd at 1:30. Council members Jurinsky or Lawson, any issues with that date and time?
No issues.
Okay. And then any other miscellaneous matters, Terry or anyone else that need to be brought up?
Not at this time. Thank you.
All right. We will go ahead and adjourn. Thanks, everybody. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.